Here we go. We are currently entering the last match of the day for the PCL. I am Fawn, your host, joined by Nick.
What's going on, man?
What's going on?
They did it, man. They beat Triple Tank.
They did it. They finally lowered the win rate of Triple Tank today.
Yeah,
they've done it
by a narrow margin. Great draft there.
Yeah.
I think from the boys. That's a grudge match, though. There's a lot of history between that Nemesis, the Onslaught team.
Yeah.
Good to see them kind of going back and forth. Good to see in general, like, these aren't all sweeps. There's a couple 3-1s in there. This region, I expect to be a bit of a different story. Elevate is one hell of a team.
Oh, yeah. Elevate is, from what it is that I remember, I saw a couple of odds when I was back at home just of Elevate's gameplay and just their style, and then they're facing Cat on Mars today, correct?
Yes, they are. And they might be doing a good bit of triple frontline. Mm-hmm. There's a ton of that from the console boys in the MSI, so if that's like the strategy you want to go to when all eyes are on you, you know what I mean, probably playing your hardest matches of your career, that's something I expect for them to go to a little bit more today as well.
Yeah,
they might even quad tank it. You never know.
Might. You never know. They might just go 4 tanks into 1 healer. What healer would even be able to keep up 4 tanks like that?
You could run Grover's going to work. Grok could work as well. You could see double support, triple frontline.
True.
Kind of that cornier stuff, but I'm down to see it. Once a week. Take a little update out of the Triple Tank book and see what's going on.
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at the map bans here real quick. They both banned Bright Marsh and Shadow Desert for their first bans. I believe their second bans are Timber Mill and Bazaar. Right now, those are the 4 maps it is that they cannot play on. They have banned those maps. Both teams have chosen to ban those group of 4.
Yep.
I mean, those are typically map bans you would see most of the time, even in PPL. You would see that.
Yep.
You see those map bans as well.
Yeah, map bans, pretty much it's either something that you just really don't want to play, or you've maybe done some homework on the team that you're actually facing on the day, and although they like this one a lot, they have a good win rate here. It could be something that you just don't really prefer as well as they like it. You could get that double-edged sword if you're lucky, but most of the time map bans, I think, stick to at least one that you hate. You just don't want to practice it, don't want to invest the time, which is viable. I mean, there's a lot of maps in the pool at this point, so you really have to kind of pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, let's take a quick look at what map it is they decided to pick, though, for this first one. They want to go Jaguar Falls, want to run that. I've seen quite a bit of Jaguar Falls today, actually.
Jaguar Falls, I would guess this is an LA pick, and I would guess they're going to do some either triple or quadruple frontline type of business. Still, it's the squad that you're going to kind of know and love. Trensic Shu, Exodia has slightly changed his name just in terms of spelling, wonderful, as well as Emmett Payne. It's going to be a good one here, boys. This is actually Cats on Mars pick, so keep an eye. If Elevate are able to steal this one away, they will get the next map pick as well. And this goes back to that. This is the best of 5. If you win both of the map picks in the onset, where both teams are guaranteed to get one, you're looking like you're in a really good spot.
Yeah. So they decided to go for the Atlas Tyra ban, the Talus ban, followed by the Victor ban. It's what we've been seeing pretty much.
The front lines are open.
It's a trend for today. But yeah, that's a good point to make. The Makoa's open, the Torvald's open, Khan, Anara. You don't really see Khan ban, not really Anara, but she is still open. She is still available. You do see that a lot of front lines are still there.
And almost how you look at what's banned in terms of off tanks in the PPL. Vivian is that last of the assault rifle or LMG characters in her case. So because she's the last of sort of that little inner circle of hit scan tracking DPS characters, she's more likely to get picked away first. Elevate do go with that Genos Torvald. While technically a frontline, again, kind of broke down as to he fitting more into the support role. So maybe not the traditional triple tank that we're going to be used to seeing out of Elevate.
Yeah, the double damage amp. We saw that a little bit last set against those people that just played with Onslaught. They did end up blocking the Genos Torvald, I believe. They decided to go for the Barrack Ying in response, though. First Ying we've seen today, actually.
Yeah, Barrack, solid point frontliner, and I assume they go for their Ying. Now, let's looking at Elevate, they already have their support characters. So typically when a team does something like this, picking a support or frontlines when the other frontlines are already picked, it's usually like you wanting to see more of the enemy composition before you sort of lock down what you're playing, have a better idea of what they're going for before you start to go, which is it can be a dangerous game to play because you don't want to play too much around your opponent, right? You want to kind of have like some semblance of an idea of like your game plan, what you want to do against this team. Elevate is a tough team to beat for sure, man. They play a lot of stuff, so letting them get too far out in front in the draft in terms of getting what they want It's a scary proposition.
Yeah, very, very dangerous game. They decide to lock the Lex. They go for the Makoa as well. The Lex, I mean, in the PPL, we saw how dangerous that is, especially after the Sun and Moon patch with Bittner just doing so well. Went 11-0 in the PPL. Such a strong character pick. They go for Leanne. And Dredge, you can talk a little bit about this, but I don't think Dredge is especially bad on Jaguar Falls.
Your first one? That's your first one, kid?
I'm so excited. Moji's
it is
like
exciting.
my favorite.
It's exciting.
Moji's like my favorite.
She's
Moji's
fun to watch,
actually
man.
like my favorite.
She has a super cool kit as well. Just a very cool, unique character overall. So definitely stinks that she's not like as viable as maybe we would hope, but very, very fun to get to see her every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm so excited now. I love Moji so much. I know she's not the best, but she's like one of my favorites. Regardless, doesn't even matter. We're going to throw it right down to the cash list for this first game.
I love the puppy dog excitement from Stefan about emoji, and Nick's just like, yeah, it's your first one. And he like puts out a cigarette on his skin. He's just sitting back. It's been a long...
You'll learn, kid.
Like this summer, I can imagine that Nick has been filming a detective series for himself. But hey, it is Moji. I'll get back on track here. How is she? How's she feeling right now, Kresnik?
I don't know, she had a rough day.
That sucks.
No, but
how are the dragons?
On this map,
that's what matters. It's like having a sad dog.
How are the kids? No, on this map, she can be pretty solid. Usually, she needs a pocket with her. My guess is that, well, she'll get Torv pocket.
She's got 2 pockets.
But she's going to get Term Siphoned as well on top of the Torvald. And that could help her get away with a lot of things, because her ability to get out once that magic barrier is down is really low. She doesn't really have quite as much as she can do. Symbiotic plus Harmonious means that if they shoot her magic barrier, she's going to get healed for like 750, I think, every single time.
And that's going to be able to keep her... I mean, this entire composition is just keep Moji alive and let her kill. Like, she is just going to run rampant. You get the Torvald double, you get a Luminary boost, you get her healing, and you have to deal with the fact that now there's a Lex in your backline. And he's so far being able to cut off at least one of these things at the source. Kills off the Torvald for first blood, and with a good hook right there, that might be the Indeterminus as well.
Looks like Elevate just didn't have enough presence on the left side. Leaving the Dark open means that the people on point are very open. Mid-Pain trying to find some kills onto the Makoa. The Crush comes in. Not enough follow-up, though. The Moji just cannot get the marks across this Dark Room. They're settling here, stuck in this corner. They just want to go out. The healing might make it happen, but Katamars are disengaging. Moji's just a little... hang on to dry here.
And she's trying to get aggressive. Now the Torvald's back, that bubble's going to be returning, and you can see that effect on Clever Pup. 866 health, 1370 now, as he's just trying to stay out of combat, get some of that healing, stay alive. It's 69, 48% on the point. Elevate in control, but not firmly in control. They haven't been finding any kills. They haven't really been able to supplant themselves. They need to get rid of somebody. Taco Bell Waifu is definitely top on that list, but it's just so difficult to really burn through him.
Yeah, he actually dies on point, barely avoiding the crush there, but now the pressure from the Moji might just be too much for them to deal with. Vivian finds a flank through Dark, catches Exodia out on the side, but there's just too much damage, I think, on the point. Katamari, oh my god, fantastic polymorph from Mid-Pain onto Ian Hart. No more damage from that Vivian coming in. That's going to hurt them a lot in terms of the damage department.
And you can just see how this one shifts all in favor of Elevate now. You get rid of the one serious source of damage that's causing them trouble. All of a sudden, they get themselves a point. They get themselves a ton of kills as Pain is getting aggressive here. And now this Lex doesn't even have a place to stand. It's another double kill. And Moji is coming off with the right foot forward.
Yeah, a little bit of a body block there, too, on the hook, actually. But yeah, Moji's DPS, especially with the Torch bubble, so insane. It's so high, but... usually you play on maps where... oh, jeez. Oh, that... I don't even know what to say after that one, but usually you play on maps where you're far enough away, you can kind of avoid her, but Jaguar Falls is just really close. It's hard to get away with it. With the bubbles, even though she has such a big headshot hitbox, doesn't matter. She just has so much health to burn.
I mean, we've been talking about this map as one of the ones where almost anything can happen. You can play pretty much anybody you truly want. And right now, Moji has been... played a few times here. I think I've seen her 3, if you count the Premier League over the last split. Maybe a couple more. I can't remember all of the console games that came through, but she doesn't win all the time, or at least she didn't used to. But this is like a comp that's so all in on Moji that's going to work out perfectly. Pain here is just burning through him, uses another ult there. Once you grab that biscuit, you do execute him, and it's just setting him up for success.
Yeah, it's also elevated team that can kind of run whatever they want. I mean, they've been playing together for so long. Their coordination is so good, especially when a player like a Mid-Pain is piloting Moji like this. What if... look at this stat line. He's more than doubling the Vivian's damage. And he's hit all of his ultimates, too. That's one thing I've noticed with, like, those, like, off-classing Moji players, when they're just like, well, Moji players. That's not even a sentence I've really said before right now, but the people who kind of off-class emoji just pick it up because their team thinks it'll be good here, they miss the ultimate. They don't get the confirm on the cookie when it's bouncing around. And, I mean, he's had a 100% success rate so far with it.
I will say, the greatest diet for anybody would be emoji, like if everything was just that Moji biscuit, because it is one of the fastest running biscuits I've ever seen. Granted, most biscuits don't run, so it doesn't have a lot of competition.
Go right through you, though.
But it's very, very difficult, I think, to confirm that. So being able to find 2 of those, like not only getting the execute, the polymorph on its own is really good to get someone out of the fight, but getting the execute afterward has set him up. But this damage numbers, this slash line is just insane. And for anyone who hasn't tuned into the console league before, Elevate are really, really good. So you give somebody these 2 damage amp pockets on their team, and you can kind of see what's happening. Unfortunately for Taco Bell Waifu, that means he's going to be taking the brunt of this one right now. Clever Pup in the very similar position, just doesn't know how to take it all.
Cats on Mars, Taco Bell Waifu, they're just not protecting him enough, I think. He's getting pressured really hard on point, and when you're alone into that Moji DPS, there's just not much you can do. Magic Barrier right in the Ancient Raging Makoa's face. Doesn't know who else to shoot. Clever Pup cannot find what he wants as Mid-Pain just pours down this damage on the point. Gonna catch this Barrack out here, and they just keep leaving Taco Bell Waifu alone. And there's just too much damage coming in. They overextend to save him. There's just not enough they can do.
I mean, at 84% now for Elevate, this looks like a very clean .3, especially with that Makoa going away. And that's going to be one final ult that does not fully connect there. Makoa going to be able to stay alive, but I mean, you're running the risk of what? He's going to watch you as you push this payload for the first at least 10% for free.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to get some damage, but what is it Cats on Mars? Like, you know, the Vivian's really solid, or at least looked really solid earlier on. Like, what do they need to change to just burn through Elevate and stop this from becoming a 4-0?
That.
Kill Moji.
Hooking the Moji specifically. I mean, she has a really big hitbox. You need to be able to confirm that. What Hyper Beam from Trensic? You waved goodbye to them, and you probably put their controllers down as soon as that happened. It was a really good flank by them, keeping this fight going for Elevate. They just need to shoot the Moji more, get her separated from the Torvald to make it work, because it's going to be too hard to overcome both of them together until Rekka's online.
It's that awkward moment where they finally get a kill on the Moji. They finally relieve some of the pressure they've been experiencing this entire game. And then immediately 2 of them get pushed off the map. Sentinels are going to be popped right here, but it's not going to matter. That's going to be a good shot from Shu as they're looking to push this one on forward into the base of Cats on Mars. It's going to be 3 total kills now. They did lose Pain, so they're going to lose a little bit more of their pushing power, but it doesn't matter. Exodia wants to remind us why he's here and why his name matters. A double kill for him. This is looking to come around the corner.
Yeah. Really good. Tried to stagger the point. They couldn't get it done in time. They have to Ancient Rage to touch it now, actually. Shu getting poked down. Does manage to get into cover. He doesn't need to peek to heal, so he is feeling really good about this. Clever Pup's Ancient Rage is about to end. Enlightenment comes in. Does find the Vivian on the side. Damage potential really weakened for Cats on Mars now.
And that health bar just does not have enough, but it doesn't even matter. They don't need the kills. They've got the zone. You were too scared of the Moji, of the Terminus. There just wasn't enough pressure, I guess, from Cats on Mars to try and zone those away. And there's too much pressure coming from Elevate to let them have any space.
Taco Bell Waifu just died too late, and they forced the Makoa to get on the cart, which means the Ancient Rage didn't get the same value that it should have. Once that's up, then he can just get polymorphed. You know, Ancient Rage does make you immune to that Moji ultimate. Without that in the way, there was really no defense.
And they just burned through it. I mean, it was one of those moments, you had a very small period of time there if you were Cats on Mars where it's like, cool, there's no Moji and we have some ults, maybe we can do something with it. Unfortunately, it's really hard to argue against the 80,000 damage, the next highest after that 70, I'm going to say the full number, 79,650 is 43,000. Even rounding up to 44, that's over 30,000 damage of a difference here coming down from this Moji. Was Pain just on another level, or what was going on with this?
Pain was playing really well. They also weren't playing in a way to counter him, and as soon as they did, he would just hop, skip, and jump out of there. I mean, he just immediately scuttered out of there. There was no real way to stop him. Like, the only time they really killed him, I think that was just absolutely perfectly clean, was that hook. When you pick a Makoa, you need to expect to land those hooks.
Yeah.
If you're not all game, Pain's just going to run all over you like that.
I can't imagine a world where you have to have Torvald Genos on the same team. So I imagine Cats on Mars might want to try changing that going into the next one, because while Moji did a lot here, I feel like there's a little bit of facilitation coming in from behind, but that melting and like a Makoa like that, most of the damage came down from Pain here. And I mean, it was kills handed to him on a silver platter.
Yeah, exactly. You could just see him walking straight through. constant pocketing, really good coordination by Elevate. You can tell how long they've been playing together as a unit. I wanted to point that out again because I didn't catch it perfectly at the time. He body blocked that hook onto the Torvald. Trensic, when Imipink came around the corner, Trensic got hooked and the Moji was in the way. Actually saved Trensic's life.
Next level.
Just by existing.
Now, whether or not he intended to do that, you can argue about all day. Elevate, you ask them, they absolutely meant to. Cats on Mars will be like, no, it was a fluke. Either way, that was a very, very fast Jaguar Falls. Again, I anticipate some of the changes that we have coming up are going to be ban either Torvald or Genos, or pick either Torvald or Genos if you're going to let them both go through.
For sure, yeah. I mean, the Ultra Alpha characters are really good. The tanks are really good, but you can't just always ban them. You have to adapt to whatever teams you're playing. And Elevate's such a flexible team. There's so many options open to them. They have to prepare for the next map really well.
Well, map number 1 again was a 4-0, and we were going to have map number 2, but it's going to be coming right after this.
Respawn, the official gaming chair of the Paladins Console League.
Moji mains rise up all around the country, all around the world. I am here.
The time is nigh.
Fawn. I am here, Fawn, with Nick. We are here after watching that first game. A very 4-0, very convincing, too.
Yeah, man, that's how it goes. That's how it goes with Elevate. I got to say, this has been a dominant team. It's a lot of old school dominant players as well. So very, very good, very, very veteran, as well as just proven on land. A lot of I think accolades between these players. It's gonna be a tough split for the guys here in the North American Xbox split.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one thing to pick Moji onto your team and then have it be close, but for it to be 4-0. You mentioned it before, Elevate was super, super strong. They were really good with their pressure. They knew what to do. They knew what they wanted, and they just effectively used it.
Yeah, for sure. And when you have a Torvald to pocket it as well, something you're not really used to, that's doing way more damage than it's normally doing, even in the couple of instances that you've probably played against it, can be tough.
All right, let's take a look at what the map is for now. What map did they decide to pick? It will be Stone Keep. It's going to be the second map. I believe this is Cats on Mars pick now.
This is Elevate's pick. Cats on Mars actually selected. Yeah, they selected Jaguar Falls. Oh, Still got 4-0. That's what's really scary, I think, about the remainder of the set and just kind of the context behind it. That was Cats on Mars pick, man.
Yeah.
That was their best foot forward, and they got 4-0'd there.
That's crazy.
So now we go to Elevate territory, and then from there on, it'll be loser's pick. Whoever loses this map, we'll select every map until we crown ourselves a winner.
Yeah, and they seem to go with once again, standard bans is what you'd expect to see. But the thing is that what I'm curious about is how Cats on Mars is going to adapt now that you mentioned it, you said it. They lost their very first pick. They lost Jaguar Falls and super convincingly 4-0. If I was them, I'd be in a pretty, not necessarily shattered mental state, but I'd be a little bit shaken after that, especially if it was your map pick and you were expected to do super good on it. After that happens, it's like, what can you really say?
Yeah, and with what they beat you with as well, again.
Right, yeah.
Kind of commenting on the Cats on Mars strategy where they pick Ying after the Elevate support's already been locked in. That almost gives me the idea that it's like they're trying to see as much of they can of Elevate as possible, which I can see the merits of because Elevate are going to be so scary with so many things. Right. So it's almost folly to try and attack them and take enough away to make them uncomfortable. because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, there's really nothing it is you can do. You've mentioned it before, and I've also said it before. These guys are very, very veteran players, so it's very hard to try and make them uncomfortable when they've been doing it for so long, right? Like, I'm sure they have plenty of flex picks it is that they can use, but they decide to lock on the side of Cats from Mars.
Cats on Mars.
Cats on Mars, right? COM, calm. Cats on Mars. Victor Atlas they decide to go for. They do end up locking the Genos Barrack. Now, here's what I'm a little bit confused about. I need you to answer this quick, Nick. We've seen Genos Torvald. We've seen just Genos alone. We've seen it, and it's so prominent in Console League. Why are the opposing teams, or at least like in this case, Cats on Mars, why are they not opting to go for Atlas Genos instead of the Victor? Like, I understand that Tyra's banned, Vivian's banned. Are they afraid that Victor's just going to be taken from them?
Well, Genos was picked away, right? So they have to go kind of with what's left. And you look at that little tribunal of Victor, Vivian, and Tyra has been very important, whatever of that three, because usually it's only one is left open.
Yeah.
That is kind of next highest priority. For Elevate, taking Genos instead of Victor first, they just feel like they can get it done with enough. That what they need is that damage amp rather than needing Victor's particular style of doing damage.
Right. I guess the way it was, I should have probably phrased it, is that I see Genos picked like second or third pick when the other team did not decide to lock him first or go for a double, like a frontline Genos or go for a frontline healer. Just a little bit confused about that, but they do go for the Cassie pick last. You don't really see that on console, actually.
No, not a ton of in fact, Emmett Payne of Elevate, at least in Phase 1, was one of the very few guys that I even remember running Cassie, and that was part of the reason why I liked watching him play, is because he was very good at it, wasn't really missing a step.
Yeah.
We'll have to see if it manages to kind of find a place for itself here. I'll be really paying attention closely to what talent pick, whether it's big game, whether it's impulse. That sort of gives away, like, who is this Cassie trying to deal with, the frontliners or some of the backliners?
Yeah, well, Moji may not have been picked this game, but I'm sure she'll be picked sometime soon, hopefully. Let's go right to the casters and see what their thoughts are on this game.
Well, the question is going to be whether or not it's that big game route, right, for the Cassie, if they want to go for the tank slaughter, or if their goal is going to be maybe more towards the DPS. On Frog Isle, it's a little bit more long range overall, but I believe it's Stone Keep.
It was Stone Keep on the map pick. Yeah, it is Stone Keep. Okay, you threw me off for a minute there, but yeah, big game here. Looks like what they're going to pick up unless they switch last second. Double Wrecker also to deal with the Makoa Barrack. Two pretty heavy shielding tanks.
Yeah.
Big game, I think, is a really safe pick, especially into the Makoa. There's not really many counters to Leviathan Ancient Rage, and that's one.
So I'm going to go in a completely different direction now.
Okay.
Willow, one of the first games I remember distinctly seeing her take that step into the meta was Fnatic playing her on this map. Like, is it just a very solid map to have Willow on because of how grouped everyone is?
Yeah, everyone's clumping pretty hard, so Dead Zone gets a lot more value. You can also kind of splash this outside stair, and it spreads inside, forcing them into a very specific direction. But that opening Shatterfall from Takabo Waifu didn't find too much. They're getting forced back a lot. No cap time on either side. Makes sense, though. I mean, all these keep fights are very centered off the point.
Well, they're looking for the kill right now onto Trinsic. They find Shu by accident. That's not who he was going for, but he's going to take it. It's a consolation prize either way. They are perfectly happy going forward. Now this Barrack maybe in a dangerous position, going to be able to bowling ball right on out of there, get that shield up, and walk away. But wonderful. Definitely feeling the burn of the damage. Finally, someone steps on the point, and it's going to be Cats on Mars, this time getting a little bit of a lead, but it took them a while to get there, and they don't honestly feel too sure in their positioning that they can hold on to it as strong as they want.
Elevate's health is so rough. Yeah, they're just going to walk all over them here. They were never able to re-heal with the Genos. That's one of the biggest weaknesses. His spread heals are just not there the same way that other healers are. You can't get yourself back up to full unless you get out of combat. Cats and Mars really smart there, kept applying pressure between Victor Nade, between even Deja Vu, Blast Shot, everything was just keeping them in combat. They never had a chance to heal themselves up. Cats on Mars take that first mid.
You know, this is going to make me incredibly happy just because seeing Cats on Mars, again, when they started playing last split, it was fun watching them grow every week, you know, originally being closer to where Retaliation when they were in the league and Eaststorm were now kind of, they grew past that, they grew beyond that, definitely solidified themselves as a second place team in this region, but never were able to quite give it to Elevate. Now they're in that position where they can control the game at least a little bit to get a point, which honestly, when you're up against Elevate, that is more than enough in and of itself to prove that you are a really solid team, or at least that you're coming together. So they've been growing. Problem is whether or not they can grow enough to push this in. If they can get a 2-0 against Elevate, that is a significant sign.
they have the comp to do it too. I mean, all these players are really hard grinders. I remember seeing a lot of these names in my quick plays, in my casuals. You know?
They're just following you. They're trying to ruin your game.
I mean, there's enough people trying to do that already. These guys are definitely not. I'll say that with how hard they try in my games. Fayflight coming out from Exodia, putting on some pressure into main, kind of zoning them back, Cats on Mars holding back into Church, regrouping, getting re-healed thanks to their Grover. That's kind of the benefit of that character.
Yep.
We're going to have to see how they retake this.
So speaking of which, you were mentioning the healing and I guess lack thereof from the Genos that kind of pushed them away. And you can maybe see some of that right now with Trinsic, who's sitting at just barely 2,000 health, taking a barrage, going to get melted right there. They went all in on the Makoa. And while they used as much as they could to get rid of him, they get rid of him, so I guess they did the job they set out to do. Unfortunately, comes up with a little bit of retaliation here from Elevate. But you're looking at it, Grover right now is hitting every mark that you want out of the sport. Keeping everybody topped off, keeping the team going forward, has his Whirlwind ready in case either you need CC immunity or if you just need that burst of healing. But he falls off pretty hard with Cauterize.
Yeah, and especially against Dead Zone, because if you Dead Zone that Whirlwind, I mean, it's just not doing anything near. Yeah, exactly. Not doing anything near what it needs to do. Setback even afterwards if you were against the Atlas with that, but thankfully has him on his side. Dead Zone coming in up top, kind of pressuring them out a little bit, but Trinsic finds himself a little bit too far to the side. Willow set back, manages to avoid the follow-up by Clever Pup, but Imit Pain, wow, I was going to say he's going to die here, but I guess he's just going to win a 2v1. That's cool, Pain. Nice job.
Sometimes you just gotta win a 2v1. You know how it is. Either way, he's gonna be able to set himself up. Now keeps control of the high ground and is able to loop around, stay up kind of on the balcony, and keep vision on that payload. No one from Cats on Mars is there to be able to contest. No overtime, so it's gonna be going 1-1. What does Elevate need to change from initial point fight to now in order to maintain this this fight once they go back into it?
I don't think they need to contest to keep that heavily. I think they can play outside and play poke. I mean, they have Leon and Willow. They can go in with their Makoa kind of at the drop of a hat. You know, he can spin in, Surf 5, whatever is in his build for that. Commit pretty hard. Barrett can also live a pretty long time on the point, especially since they don't have a blaster really to kind of AoE. They just have the Victor grenade, if anything. So let's see, Surf. Yeah, Surf 4. Use their Harden 4 actually. Interesting pick. Not too long damage reduction, but it seems like it's a commonly picked up card. This damage reduction in general is commonly picked up in console, I guess, to counteract the damage amps across the board.
Especially considering we've seen just in general how much damage Victor can use. This is not necessarily the best example, but I mean, we've seen 181k today coming out from a Victor, so it is not uncommon to see him go top damage. And that's a beautiful hook, beautiful setup to get rid of Taco Bell Wife. We're going to force that revive, and he's going to be coming in, but this is the problem with Terminus. Unless you get something big out of it, like that heal and a kill, your ult might not be completely worth it, but Reanimate works this time around, and he's going to be able to take control of the point.
2 even trades actually both ways, so it's a 3v3, but Cats on Mars have control of the point. Trinsic very low, dropping behind. Both tanks chasing him. He's not long for this world, but they might be able to keep trading it. Nobody capping right now. Pain applying some pressure to the Atlas. Exile coming in, but he's going to die before he can get anybody with it.
Yeah, by the way, Pain, as far as I'm aware, still hasn't died. This 11 streak still going to be 8-0-3 as of right now. I think just trying to remind everyone why he's so great and why exactly you should remember his name. Because he is one of the best, if not the best player I think we have in the console scene. So you can absolutely continue looking at him to perform here. I mean, going from Moji to Leon is not exactly an easy switch.
Yeah, exactly. Two very different characters. One more worried about just walking in, surviving with that one cooldown. The other just trying to walk straight at the enemy. But Elevate get the cap during this. Too much pressure on the keep forces Cats on Mars to be unable to touch. Enlightenment comes out, does find Clever Pup, so he does get the refund on that. And Pain continuing to find all these finishes. Leon so good on Stone Keep. Both DPSs on Elevator, actually. I think this is one of their better maps. Not the best for Willow, but you could argue it for Leon.
Yeah, and being able to come through at this level of performance with this level of players, it's one of those things that it's just one of those combos. Like, you don't want to give a guy that's really good on Bomb King on Jag Falls. Like, it's just a bad formula for your success. And I think Cats on Mars are slowly starting to feel that as the credits maybe now shift over more towards Elevate, the net worth going up in their way, not only because of kills, but now that they've captured that point, they've kind of leveled the economy across the board, which means they're going to be able to come out with more Cauterizes right there. And you can see 4 of them picked up, 2 tier 2s, 2 tier 1s. a pretty solid start.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need for Wrecker for them at all because there's no shields, just Atlas and the Siphon. You know, Stasis Field Siphon. Nothing happens with that Wrecker. So, good idea to pick up the Wreckers, the Cauterize, excuse me. Shu actually going for Haven 1 over the Chronos, trying to value his own survivability over most other things.
Selfish. Either way, it's going to be good shots. A little bit of Fate Flight popped there to try and get a little bit of room, but it's going to lead to Trinsic finding 2 kills. Going to heal up, but this is setting themselves up to go through the archway almost impossibly easy for them on Stone Keep and maybe find a conversion. They're locking them into the base.
Yeah, they still have the ultimates to use here too. If they're willing to, they can use Ancient Rage and Enlightenment or even through Time and Space if they have the setup for it. Trinsic putting on a lot of pressure here on the side. Barrage coming in. Can he get the hook to cancel it? Looks like he doesn't go for it. Ancient Rage coming in. They really want to convert this. They don't even have a chance to touch.
I'm not even sure they needed it. You do see Terminus who jumped down there, but Taco Bell Waifu got wiped before the timer could reset. Showcasing, I think, a lot of the skill. 11-0-5 here for the Leon, who I think is... And it might be a lot to talk about Pain twice in a row, but it just kind of feels like when he's doing the amount of work he's doing in terms of kills, it's impressive. But Exodia is top damage for their team.
I also want to point out, I don't think Shu's died since the first mid, because he's on a 19 streak with 19 assists. So I think he just started the game 0-2-0, and he's been living just as effectively as Pain since then. The tanks for Elevate, we're doing a lot on those mids. Trinsic, I think, started this game a little rough in the terms of just like getting kind of caught out, not doing what he needed to do, but he knows he has to hook the Terminus to deny them from getting that Siphon value, and he knows he just has to keep them off of Pain and Exodia so they can keep applying this damage.
Well, they're going to go over towards the left through Time and Space, going to get fired out. Not going to find anything here.
Bold.
Trinsic is looking to potentially try and find just one good pick. Pulls the Atlas of all people. Maybe not who exactly he wanted. Going to have to pop the Shell Shield, dash on out of there to stay alive because now Cats on Mars are getting aggressive and it's paying off. They're going to need a little bit more and they get rid of Pain. That's a great start.
Yeah, especially since I think it's going to give him a lot of refund on his ultimate if he used it before. No! Trinsic completely caught in the corner, barely manages to get away, but wonderful died to that ultimate. Free charge is going to talk about Waifu from the Seedlings. Trinsic still pressuring on the stairs, but Halftime's going Counts on Mars away. He can't do this for too long.
He's talking about how to make that ultimate, that reanimate, worthwhile. Getting a kill out of it's definitely going to help. A nice Void Grip going to be able to get a kill on a silver platter there for Clever Pup. Or at least he's going to be the one who falls, and now it's looking like they're going to turn that focus into Taco Bell Waifu. Siphon doesn't last forever. You're going to get burned down. And even though Elevate were, I want to say seemingly, not just seemingly, but did absolutely lose that first point fight. They have regained control, regained everything they need. Barrage is going to come up. They're going to be trying to get that damage, but it's just a little bit too late to try and stop the game. Elevate grab point number 4 and keep themselves moving forward.
It was a great hook by Trinsic at the end there. The Atlas was on his way to touch with the Beyond the Veil speed boost. Perfectly timed hook, forced them into the Dome Shield to touch. Honestly, they didn't even make it to the Dome Shield in time.
Yeah.
You know, Cassie tried to roll in, got a overheal at the last second, but it wasn't even close to enough.
That was like that last-minute scramble of let's just dump anything and everything, like bodies and ults that we can onto this point because otherwise we are going to lose. And every single one of them was that 1 second too late, that one tick that you get on the point. But I mean, I hate to say it, Emmett Payne looked really, really good. Did have one death though, so we're going to have to mark him for that one. But, you know, other than that, was incredible in terms of damage. Still out-damaged, but had a good
by
slash.
Wonderful and Exodia. Too. I mean, you could tell the Willow buff's actually coming into effect this game, not just for the Fey Flight buff, but there was a moment where Reagan was sitting back in the banana using the wall for cover, and every little bit of splash, because of Blast Flower, was just going up and up. Like, it was doing an absurd amount of poke by the end. He had to completely give up that position. A lot of space gain just by barely chipping around the corner thanks to the new fall-off buff.
And 5-2 and 15, that what, 10%? It was 30% originally on the outer rim, and now it's 40% on the side. So you're going to be very comfortable, very happy if you are Exodia. But of course, you need a little bit of setup. It's not always the DPS. Sometimes it is the front line. And I can't think of a guy who's been hitting better hooks this game than Trinsic. Ignore the fact that he was the only guy with hooks, but he had some really good ones, as well as being able to narrowly escape that one reanimate and using his Ancient Rage in very choice moments.
I didn't even know how to describe what just happened right there. This was that turn, the 2-2 trade that ended up going both ways, that Elevate won out in the end. Good play by him. I mean, like I said, Emit Payne played really well, but your tanks have to make the space for you to be able to pull that off. You can't just do that without your tanks in their face.
Not every tank is going to be able to say, cool, I'm going to go 1v3 and come out with at least 2 kills. Like, he walked in, kills 1, continues the fight with 3 other enemies behind him, walks around and is like, okay, well, now I'm going to kill that guy, though. Like, just keeping it rolling, Trinsic did a good job there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very proud of my console brother.
Your console brother?
Trinsic and Kresnik.
It's the Nick connection.
Yeah, well, people also always type my name as Krensic, So,
okay.
Yeah, there's a typo.
I can see it.
My brother, I'm glad he's doing well. My console tank brethren performed really well there that game. Elevate in general just showing that they still deserve to be, I think, currently the top 1 team. But Cats on Mars, they don't look completely out of it. I mean, I think they're at least getting pushes well together and they're getting damage in. It's just the coordination isn't at the same level of Elevate yet.
That's always been their story. We'll have to see how they end up faring against some other teams as the weeks go on, but they still have one more match that they have to, or one more game they have to go against Elevate in, and we're going to be getting back to that one, but it's going to be after this quick break.
The Paladins Console League is brought to you by Evil Mojo Games, developers of Paladins.
Welcome one, welcome all, welcome back more than ever because of the fact that Elevate is now up 2 games. They only need 1 more to close out the set. Very, very well played last game, Nick. Actually, well played. Yeah, they're playing very efficiently. There's like barely any slip ups. Really, like they're just hammering it down.
Cats on Mars, you know, they get the 1 offense, the 1 payload there, so there's like there's a glimmer of hope, which I think is at least good for them. And to be honest, sometimes that might be a realistic expectation for you. Like Elevate is such a star-studded roster at this point with so much accomplished in their past. I don't know how much you're really, expecting. You maybe get a map, maybe it's just a payload, maybe it's just a payload, a push and a conversion for you that you aim to get, but kind of a better every week sort of thing for most of these opponents for Elevate.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to think about really what it is that could be said about like Elevate's gameplay. I mean, like I feel like they're checking all the boxes here. Like they're clearly up 2 games. Cats on Mars has to definitely make sure that they at least cap or at least take 1 game. At least they can try.
They well try.
They definitely will try. They at least have to make sure that they can try and get at least 1 point on the scoreboard. We're going to see what map it is. We're going to go to immediately to see what they're going to decide to pick. It's Frog Isle.
It is going to be Frog Isle. Maybe have some opportunity to space things out a little bit. There's a chance that Elevate just gets to the point where there's so much momentum. And not to say Frog Isle doesn't lend itself to that, very momentum, very 4-0 heavy. But if you can space this out, prevent them, at least have a little bit of time before they get up in your grill to at least assess the situation, which Frog Isle can. You ride up, you stop at your window, sort of kind of peek out there, see what's safe, see where everybody's coming from, maybe make a call out, make a game plan off of that. Could be one way to do it. Or you could kind of just go for a more aggressive, almost all in, right? You're either going to overwhelm Elevate, and we've seen that aggression can really, tip the odds in some ways. If you can catch them unawares and really put them on the back foot early, maybe you have a shot then. So, going all in could be a potential strategy we see Cats on Mars go for here.
Well, speaking of trying to put them on the back foot, they decide to opt to take the Genos this time around. Elevate opts to take the Victor more than anything, and that's, can't really say it's like super interesting. We have seen it before. It is pretty much cut and paste at this point. Like it is something extremely efficient that you'll see, but Elevate's like looking to lock in the Inara Makoa as well in response to
we talked a lot about this last time around, the tribunal of Victor, Vivian, and Tyra. Victor and Vivian are both open here. So we see maybe Elevate making a pretty heavy prioritization of Victor, given that Genos is open and Vivian and Victor is open, meaning that if they first picked Genos, Victor or Vivian would have been available for them. So this kind of tells you that they really did want Victor here because that increased range that Victor has over Tyra and Vivian is probably going to be pretty critical for them on Frog Isle.
Yeah, I mean, here's the first sniper pick, I believe. Cats on Mars is hovering the Strix more than anything, but I think it's a little bit, I don't want to really say questionable, but they are picking Strix into Makoa Inara. It'll be harder, I feel like, for him to he can break through the shields if he wants to, if he opts to get the wrecker for Makoa, but then you have to deal with a wall from Inara too. A well-placed wall could pretty much cut off his vision, cut off where he's looking to snipe anyway.
Do not rest.
Elevate doing something that we see sometimes PC teams play into as well. They pick this Drogoz even though Strix is on the field. Strix, if Drogoz kind of flies around, he's just going to get annihilated, right? So a couple things we see to combat this is that Drogoz players on Fragile will almost always go combustible. It's a little bit more safe. You sit back in the pocket, you shoot your fire spits out, you do your damage that way, charge up your Dragon Punch, have your impact. Great. Aside from that, when that Strix goes down, then you're really in a good spot, right? Because your only real predators off the food chain. You get command of the battlefield after that. But until that point, you're kind of playing a more backseat role, and it's that moment that's really where it's critical. You've kind of taken your hands off the wheel and given it up to your teammates to set you up for greatness.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm gonna go ahead and ask it. It is the last, potentially the last set. Whose team do you like more right now?
I want to see Cats on Mars take at least one today.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I like that. We're going to throw it right down to the casters. I guess the name would be Gorekrez? That was awful. Just cut the casters.
I like it. I like where his mind's at.
Miser.
I admire when someone can just say, you know what? Never mind. Let's just keep going. Either way, I have a question for you.
Yes.
All right. So, Vivian, Strix on the other team. You were a coach, so I assume you'll know. You're drafting. You're on Fragile. You're like, man, they've got 2 sources of hit scan damage. You know what? Do you lock in Drogoz?
Yes.
You do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the face you
now
just
tell
gave
me why.
Because Combustible on this map gives you a lot of indirect damage. They might try to get forward with the Vivian, but the Drogoz should have enough room to play with on the edge. I mean, he's starting Haven because his rockets don't really matter. It just comes down to his Spitfire, just being able to get that damage around those corners.
Okay. Well, you know what? Now I've been bested. That's why you're standing in the chair 2 position right now. It's going to be a lot more comfortable for you as we look to see where exactly Regan's going to be able to do it. Imma Payne going to be able to get first blood right onto the Vivian, so it doesn't matter exactly who he's going up against. He's going to be happy. And now, unfortunately for this Strix, he has pretty much nowhere to stand. Window is going to be occupied by Elevate, and they're pushing him away from ramp as well. I mean, this is just full control for Elevate.
Yeah, I mean, Combustible showing its value there really, really quickly. Vivian was just immediately off the map. I mean, she literally rolled out, and then I saw her in the distance just, goodbye. Not really having much time here, and you can see the control, like 2 hit scans here, yes. There's a shield in the way. He's going to spit and probably knock the Ashe off the map very close. She has to dash just to live, which puts her in a bad position. A little better than I thought, though. Almost getting Trensic off the map as well. Solid hook there onto the Vivian. They find the kill, and that's a lot of pressure off of the Drogoz.
But it's going to be 90% to 12, 15 now on the other side for Cats on Mars. They're still fighting this as a 4v5. Clever Pup doing a lot of work just by his lonesome on the side here, corralling and controlling the off-tank, but it's still going to be a lot of burst damage. It's coming down from Exodia. It's coming down from Pain, and they're going to be able to pick up the retaining kills they need. Unfortunately for Clever Pup and Taco Bell Waifu, they just don't quite have the life. They don't have an Immortal. Got to stay on the point a little bit longer there, guys, but you still capture it if you're Elevate, and now you're starting to roll forward.
Yeah, there's enough cover for the Drogoz to do a lot of work here. Also, the Victor not slouching either. I mean, putting on a lot of damage on the people that were pushing. Not many places for Cats on Mars to hide, especially with a potentially worse main tank in Nano, some people would say. Great Seismic Crash actually finds 3. Can they get the Vivian?
Wow.
They can. Ian barely getting sniped by the Inara from a distance. 3 picks going Elevate's way. It's going to be a 4th in a second. There's no way Taco Bell Waifu can look both ways. And, wow, that was so dominant, so quick.
He's going to have a lot of trouble crossing the street in the future if he can't look both ways. It's a dangerous game. Always look both ways.
He would moonwalk across the street.
He'd moonwalk with the shield.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? We need a champion that has a car ultimate. I want to know how that shield stands to a car running into him. Or what? Yeah, what? Either way, it's going to be looking good. I really love the way they're playing this. The aggression's coming out. Ian Hart going to be able to get the kill there onto Trinsic. Taco Bell Waifu going to have the Immortal, so they do have the tools to stall out. But it's a minute and a half. They're already 75, 80% of the way forward. And yeah, you see Elevate dropping right now. A lot of low health bars, but it's not going to be enough to get the kill. Ian Hart, that looked like it was a sure done deal. But they're still walking away. The same thing for Wonderful right now. Still alive. Not going to have the healing behind him to keep him going. But just being able to buy that time. It's going to be a minute left on the clock. I mean, they're ready to be able to get aggressive and get back in there. They didn't really lose that much space.
What a pinch here, too, from Trensic. I gotta say, Shu's positioning there was perfect. Ian Hart did not want to switch to the Grover because he wouldn't have gotten 100% confirmed shots. It ended up the Blossom at the very last second stopped Ian from getting that kill, which basically turned this whole fight around. I mean, a minor thing like that can flip a fight like this. Assert Dominance coming in, hooked immediately out. Can they find the kill here, Gord?
Going for the body block, just trying to stop him from getting back in there. The field's going to have disappeared. You don't have that damage immunity, and now that 900 health is going to get burned down fast. Barrage is getting dropped down, but it's not going to be able to find any kills. Exodia just repositioning now to be able to come through. They burn down the kills they need, and that payload goes right on in. Just nice, smooth sailing. Again, that hook, the patience, I think, coming from Elevate, out-patiented the patience that Cats on Mars had.
Sorry, I was laughing at the slowed down Inara line right there. I don't know, you saw me break when you looked over, just, you are not welcome here. But no, yeah, really good. I think the aggression from the tanks, like I said, the patience from Trensic to get that hook onto the Assert Dominance, flipped that fight. I mean, that was going to be a game changer for Cats on Mars, and it just ended up doing nothing. You can see, I mean, Tink not dying so far, so playing far enough back, playing out of the Drogos' range to avoid that. But, I mean, Elevate's just firing on all cylinders right now.
I mean, it's one of those things. Both supports going undying, but one's 0-0 and 2, the other's 1-0 and 12, right?
Yeah.
That's where you can see a lot of that impact. Exodia, again, 8-1 and 4, 4-1 and 2 for Pain. The kill numbers are going to be coming up, but the damage is really where it comes through. Victor, again, has been doing a ton already. Wonderful's right behind him. Granted, it's 10,000, but that's Inara, and she's going for the stun right now. She's going to be able to find it. That's a good kill.
So unfortunate by Takabo Waifu, shielding before the ult comes in. If he had waited, maybe could have gotten the shield after the seismic crash, but it doesn't matter now. Everything is coming up. Elevate, combustible boop on Clever Pup right off the map. More combustible, wow, I don't know what happened to that ragdoll there. More combustible damage coming in. Trensic using the Ancient Rage forward. They're going to get these dismounts, and I don't know if there's any way Cats on Mars can touch the point.
I mean, it's 60% now. They're all dismounted. You're literally locked inside your base if you're talking about Waifu. You're having trouble even with your shield up, getting away from the stairs. And, you know, you're looking at that conversion. This is still a point fight, actually, as you would imagine. The mid, way over there, just got captured. 3-0 for Elevate, as now they're looking to potentially push this one in, turn the set score to 3-0, and end our day.
Yeah, both DPS is playing in main right now, trying to get some extra poke. I guess they're trying to stay out of the hit scan. Like we said, really important for Elevate to not peek them in. Wow, what a great hook from Trensic through the window, pulling down Takabo Waifu. That's no main tank, which means main is going to be pretty free. Exodia already trying to abuse that, but Reagan is just ringing off these headshots. Does get picked off. Salvo comes in, catches them in vines. The Vivian can't make it out either. Excellent, excellent spam from Elevate. I mean, even just without the tank pressure, they just know the exact angles to spam to find these kills.
And it's been impressive because so many things that should be going right for Cats on Mars. I mean, those headshots, you look at the ult from last round where it's just like, okay, yeah, this is a sure done deal. Like, you're set, this is going to be 1-1, or you're going to tie up something, you're going to stall out something. They just get turned on their head because Elevate know exactly what they need to do. And Pain goes in, gets a kill, does lose his life for it, but it doesn't matter when you have a savage teammate. Burning down anyone and everyone, doesn't get caught out there by the through time and space. It's the first one I've seen connect today, and either way, it's going to be working well, but there's still two front lines, still pressuring you out, still controlling the front ground. Yeah, you've got the Immortal. That's only going to keep you at a certain health threshold.
Yeah, Reagan coming back from the spawn too, catching out on him. Really good Immortal there. They needed it. I mean, without it, it's over. Oh, Reagan almost taking a little bit too much damage from that combustible. Also, things settling down here. Looking at the ultimates, they started with a Dragon Punch. I thought that was good. They caught Reagan. That's a lot of damage out off the board, especially since he's been really hitting a lot of headshots. Only ultimate up left for Elevate is Barrage. They don't really have a lot of counterplay for it either. If they can get a setup, maybe get some cooldowns down, a shield or two, this could look great for Elevate.
Gonna find a little bit of damage onto them, a little bit of damage onto himself there as they're looking to push forward. A little bit low health there for the Makoa, but wonderful, just full force frontal damage coming out. Ian Hart going to be looking for a little bit, but there's going to be a barrage. Assert Dominance going to land on him, stun him out, and get him a little low. But again, it's just a hook after a hook. They're stopping him, they're body blocking him, they're burning him down, and they're getting the kill once again. This payload, while it might not be moving, is on its way there with 2 deaths on the side of Cats on Mars. Make that 3. Soon enough, make it 4. Taco Bell Waifu incredibly low, going to try his best, but it's not going to be enough. You have to throw bodies down now if you want to, but unfortunately, there's no bodies left.
Yeah, the peel for Elevate was just too good. Cats on Mars couldn't confirm a single kill. The healing was fantastic. Just running away, like you saw Exodia getting pressured, getting stunned by the Assert Dominance, makes it around the corner. Cats on Mars didn't know what to do. They needed that, and without it, everything just fell apart.
There were so many moments that I mean, you could trace it down to one of 4 individuals that were making plays at any point in time there for Elevate, where it's just like, you know, if you hadn't done this when that happened, maybe Cats on Mars find something, or if you hadn't done this, a lot of it was the hooks, sometimes even baiting out just simply an Immortal, but there was what you were talking about, like just spamming damage in the right areas at the right time with the right angle, set them up for success.
Yeah, I mean, Elevate, as a team, they know what their win condition is going to be. I mean, how long have they been playing, at least partially as a unit? They looked pretty solid at the MSI, too, against the PC team, I felt. And, I mean, you can tell by the stat line, damage is pretty close, but I have a feeling the KDA is going to be a little one-sided on top of that.
That's usually how these things go. And, yeah, there you go. You have it 15-2-8, 10-2-2. And the 2-0-21, the undying game there for Shu, I think is always worth a shout-out for him, being able to be the support and come through. And you can kind of see, again, based on his loadout, it was very much the standard support typical loadout for a Grover. But because of that burst healing and the length of the game, there wasn't really time for any of those cauterizes to matter.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it had, his loadout would have been a little worse later because he took out the speed card from his build.
Yeah.
He's running the DR on 5 instead. A more common pick recently. I mean, people like it for the sustain. I noticed the Grover earlier was even running that shield card. That low shield card. That was something new, but either way, interesting loadouts aside. Elevate just looked really solid, I think, this set. This map especially. Just really good.
It's not every day that you, again, see Vivian, see Strix, and think, you know what, Drogoz is going to be a solid pick. Or at least in my mind, I still think, like, you can make it work,
any map
but it's
Frog.
a little shakier.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I guess any map but Frog would be worse for him. Now, you see this.
Yeah, exactly. A combustible Drogoz historically has been great on this map. It really doesn't matter what you play it into. I think the only real hard counter is, like, if they play a really aggressive Androxus. I've seen stuff like that work to counter it. But there's just so much cover on that map. You can get away with so much with combustible Drogoz.
Well, he made it work, and he made it work well. Elevate find themselves a 3-0 on Frog Isle. And it just looks pretty much like the Elevate that I've missed for the last couple of months. I am excited to see them back, excited to have the Console League back, but that does it for myself and Kresnik down here in the booth. Let's go ahead and jump back up to the desk to close out the day.
Thank you for passing it back to us, you two. Great job there on the commentary. Very, very great job from Elevate just in general. Clean 3-0.
Yeah.
Clean 3-0.
A little bit of what we've come to expect from them. You can kind of see, especially in some of those clips, it really came down to that win condition, like we mentioned. If Victor and the rest of the boys can kind of control the long range and open up some space for that Drogoz to work, then that Drogoz is just going to be a big part of the highlight reel as well. My favorite highlight, I think, was when the Inara threw up that wall for Drogoz to kind of almost like a backboard for him to play his salvo off of. He gets that almost insta-gib onto Vivian because of that. It's that level of court. I was even surprised to see that, man. I was like, they are just really, really playing well together. And because of that, man, they just look like such an unstoppable force in this region.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, like when you put a bunch of veterans together, like you truly see how powerful they are, not only as a team, but as individual players. They did so well. They played well.
Yeah.
And they just literally just pretty much dominated. But before that ends up happening, or I go more into detail on that, we're going to look at today's schedule, see the standings overall, see that Flashpoint, Aerial Rise, we know it was a 3-0 Stush.
Stush Gaming, baby.
Stush Gaming. Lost 3-0 to Aaron Manor. These are in the Europe standings right now. You guys can see it up on the screen. Cyclone GG, Bust Down 3-1. Vroom Froom versus Grog Paper Scissors. I love that name. 3-1. Nemesis
what a legendary matchup. Vroom Froom versus Grok Paper Scissors, baby.
Love that.
Love that. Only in the PCL.
Only in the PCL, baby. Yeah, we have Nemesis, Onslaught, Hydra Gaming, and a few others. We saw pretty much how most of those ended up pretty much just ending up.
Yeah.
I think we're going to look at the standings next, right? For Europe. Yeah, for Europe, I believe. We're going to see how these teams actually held up themselves. This is currently the place it is that they're in. Flashpoint, Aaron Man are doing really, really good so far. Cyclone, Vroom Froom.
Yep, actually tied for first in both regions, right? Somebody had to win today. Somebody had to lose today. Cyclone and Vroom Froom tied in their differentials. Flashpoint and Aaron Mon are tied in their differentials as well. Both teams 1-0, 0-1. Like we mentioned, somebody had to win. Somebody had to lose. Similar story over here in North America, except for Elevate being cleaner in their win, so they will actually be in the top spot with that +3 differential. Same story there, down 1-0 for both Elevate and Hydra Gaming. +2 in the differential, though. So they're technically tied for first. Excited to see kind of some of these, new faces. A lot of new teams coming through in most of these regions, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very few kind of returning squads.
Yeah, it was a lot of, I think today was a lot more like one-sided, like here's 3-1, here's 3-0, here's, like no one really got to 3-2. It was either
nobody went the distance.
Yeah. It was like either somebody had made such a commanding lead and just the momentum was too strong, or the opposing team just didn't have enough in it, like for just for today. It's only day one of the PCL, so there'll be times where they'll be able to come back and do a lot for their team. But we're going to take a look at next week's schedule real quick, see what it is that we have out playing. So Monday, Aerial Rise versus Aaron Manor. To be offline, and then Flashpoints. Tune in at 11 a.m. Flashpoint Stush Gaming. We will be streaming it seems to be like only about 4 of the games itself.
Right.
So Cyclone, GG, Vroom Vroom, Nemesis, Hydra Gaming, Elevate, E-Storm. These will be the teams it is that are currently being streamed.
Every region has 1 game played on broadcast, 1 off. You can see that obviously indicated by that offline. The rest, estimated start time, given what we normally spend in one of these best-of-5 console sets. But the important thing is that the broadcast does kick off at 11 in the morning. You know what else kicks off at 11 in the morning? Tomorrow's minor league broadcast.
Oh, yeah. I'm extremely ready for that. We'll be able to see Penta, Sour Team, a few other individuals as well.
What's left of them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was about to say what's left of them in the PML. It was very, 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 I'm excited for tomorrow. Like, I'm trying to think about a way to say I'm excited. But
to be honest, it's always good. That's what the minor league is there for.
Yeah.
To breed up new talent, incredible new players that are now in the Premier League. So it's it's very fulfilling, I think, to see that. Most of the guys from Penta getting picked up, Zarini from Sour Team as well. Very, very awesome to see. It's what the purpose of the minor league is, and you could say it's alive and well.
Yeah, for sure. That's about all we have for today, though. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching the PCL. I love you all. Be good people.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Console League.